Alright, so in this video, we're going to cover how to make a drawing out of a part. So we have our square tube part. And we are going to hit the plus sign and hit create a drawing. Just hit the default with whatever, hit OK. So now it wants to know the scale. For this, we're going to do 1:1. If it was too big to be on the paper, we can scale it down to like 1:2 or something like that. But since this is only a 4-inch piece, it will fit on a regular piece of paper, so we're going to do a 1:1. Now it wants us to select the part in our workspace, so we're going to select the square tube, and then we select the icon. And now it's going to give us the front view, so don't click yet, but if you go over here to the pull down, the view orientation, we have to figure out which side we drew the holes on. I think, let's try the left. Right. Front, is this that view? That's the view I want. In mine, it happens to be the top. If you followed me, it's going to be the top view. So we're going to drop that in there. And then it's going to automatically give us this projection feature. So we're going to make a front view, which we have right now. Then we're going to make a top view and a side view. But I want to rotate this because I don't like the orientation it's in. So if I hit the escape key, click on this button here to show the sheets, and then double click your drawing. I'm going to pan over so I can see better. This is the rotate button. So if you rotate this, say 90 degrees, hit enter. We're going to work with it in this direction. Hit the check mark. Alright. Now we want to project out the views so we can dimension it properly. So you're going to go over here to the projected view button. Click it. Click on the view that we want to project. And if you hover over here, it's going to show the side. And then come back over here and just... Actually, you have to click it again. So click it and then go up. That'll give us the top view. And if you do it one more time, click it and go diagonal, it's going to give us the isometric view. So now it's a little off the page. We want to keep it within the frame. So if we just hit escape to get out of that projected view, we can click and drag these around. And then you notice when you move the parent, they call this the parent view, it's going to move these other ones. So when you're making a drawing, you have your front view, your top view, and your right view. Now, this is a little confusing because if you notice over here, when we select our front view, it's our top, because that happens to be, and this is the back. But that's because the way we drew it in our model. If we go back to our model, if we go to the top, we drew it on the top plane and on the top view. But for the sake of making a drawing, it's okay to reorient it. So this position over here is always called your front view of your part. This is always your right view, and this is your top view. So ignore the notations here. But this is, the isometric is to help visualize for the person looking at the drawing in case they can't comprehend what's going on here. This is to help understand it. So to give you an idea, we're looking at that part like this. Just to explain a little further. So this is this surface, obviously, and this surface up here is just showing as if the camera was facing down on this surface. And then this surface over here, the square within the square, is as if we're taking a camera and going directly on that view right there. The reason we do this is because now we can add dimensions to this whole thing. That's the key point to being able to make a model of something. And then if we want to communicate it to the people making it, which is also us, but if we want to hand it off to another teammate and have someone else machine this part in the shop, you can hand them this drawing and they'll be able to say, okay, I can make it exactly like you drew it. So, now we have to add some dimensions to this. So we are going to hit our dimension tool, which is over here in the drawings toolbar. So click that. So let's start over here with the square. We know we want to show it's a 1 inch by 1 inch square. So they know it's 1 by 1 square tube. And then for the thickness, we want to show the thickness. So if we go from this line to this line, and then just drag it so it looks neater. Now we know it's 1/8, because 0.125 is 1/8. So if someone were to look at that, I'm going to hit escape. If someone were to look at this, they could be like, okay, we're grabbing a 1 by 1 square tube that's 1/8 thick. So now they grab the stock part, and we have to cut it to size, and we have to measure our holes, and we have to select our drill bit, and all of that. So how do we communicate that to the person making this? We go back to our dimension tool, and we can dimension up here. So if we select this line, we know it's going to be 4 inches. Now if you notice, you can do this line as well. It's going to be, since it's a parented drawing and a child drawing, it's going to be in line with each other. So you can drop another 4 inches measurement here, but it's also not necessary. So I'm actually going to delete this. But we know that when we see this front view and top view, we know that this is in line with this. The reason I'm not putting it down here is because I don't want to make it too crowded with dimensions, and I want to be able to add our hole dimensions. So now we typically always do 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch in. So select that line and select the circle. So now when we're drawing these in the model, we always go to the center point. Here it's okay to go to the circle. So we did this direction, so now we have to go from here to there. So now we know we're going to drop a circle in 1/2 inch in that way, 1/2 inch from that way, and then we're going to dimension it and make it 1/4 inch. All I did was select the circle, drag, drop. Now this one we have to dimension as well, so we know this one is 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch. And then we can do, for this second circle, you can either click the circle, dimension it, and leave it like that, or we can delete this. And since these are the same circle, we can double click here, and I'm just going to leave it. And then we want to make sure we dimension the next circle. And just for the simplicity of what we're doing, we're going to keep both of these dimensions here. One for that one for that one. And we have our drawing. Now, we should be able to just go over here. Let me get out of the dimension tool. But if we wanted to print this out, Now if we want to print this out and bring it into the shop, we can go over here to the 3 lines, hit print, and it will create an 11.5 by 8 or 8.5 by 11, that's the right dimension, size print that we can print out and bring inside and go make. Alright, so we have our drawing here. Now what we could do is, well, first we'd want to add a title to it. So if I rename this drawing to Square Tube Drawing, does that automatically... Alright, so we rename this so we can see it later, Square Tube Drawing. Since we're going to be printing this out, like if we were to send this to the shop to be made, we're going to edit the title. So if we double click over here in the title block, we can call it Square Tube dash motor mount. That way, you know, when we're building a robot or something and you have a bunch of drawings floating around, we know what assembly this motor, this square tube is going to. Because now we can go over here to the 3 lines, hit print, and it will put it on a printer size paper. And we can go inside and machine this, cut it to size, and do what we need to do with it. It's a great way to communicate from CAD, from a 3D model, to someone who is machining it. This is kind of how they do it in industry with drawings. And yeah, that's kind of a brief overview of how to read a drawing. In the next video, I'm going to show you how to take our, what we got left? We got our motor plate that needs to be plasma cut, and our hex spacer that needs to be printed.